It's a story time, so it's not structured, but it has loads and loads. I'm going to be talking about education because I am so much into education. So I want to share my experience from the time I got into education and what has been happening job wise from student to a worker. So if this is what you want to being a student in the UK is not as easy as what you think, especially if you are going to be self-funding. If you're going to be self-funding, there's a lot of things to consider because you would want to get a job maybe after you qualify. If you're coming to UK because maybe your parents have just want you to come and study a different course which is not required in the shortage occupation list in the UK, then that's fine. But if you're coming from a if you're that kind of a person who is trying to change your life and you want to try and study and settle abroad, then I would advise you to actually be strategic on the type of course that you are going to be. So I share quite a lot of information about the lifestyle, the experiences that I faced because I was a student and I was a worker as well. So I can share both worlds. So if that's the type of content that you want to consume, so hit the subscribe button because I'm going to bring more of that. Okay, so in today's this video, I'm going to be talking about life in the UK as a student and how I transitioned from a student to an employee, not an employer, because employee, right? Life in the UK, it was easy for me because I was on a bursary when I did my next training. Okay, back then, I'm talking of 20 years back, we had a bursary. But then the placements, we were working as well. We were working, I think we're doing 30 hours those years. So spend 30 hours in the wards, in the hospital, wherever you're being placed. So the bursary that you were getting at the time was very, 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 very helpful. I only realized that that was a lot of money when I was self-funding. I realized, wow, that 450 I was getting was a lot of money. Right. But then talk about placements, guys. Yes, there's a lot of discrimination, unconscious bias. People will just assume you don't know. This happens when you're a student. Throughout my student years, I've seen that happening. That when, for example, say it's time for presentations, you're supposed to be in groups, right? And people are choosing each other. There are situations where they don't choose you because they just assume you don't know. So you find that sometimes if you're not the first person to choose the people in a group, no one chooses you until they realize that you know what you're doing. So I'm saying this to say, as a student, you have a student and a worker, you have a lot of work to prove to them who you really are. Prove to them that you know what you're doing. It's not something that is unusual for them to have this unconscious bias towards you. They just assume you don't know. But anyway, your role is to make sure they know that you know what you're doing. It's not going to be easy, but you can go through that. That's not a problem. Let's talk about living expenses as a student. Ooh, you really have to live on basics. Accommodation, if you can find somewhere where you can share with someone, then that would be a very, very good idea and a very good move, because you cannot afford to pay a lot of money. It is not going to be possible. You can't afford that, especially if you are self-funding, because you still have to pay for accommodation, you need to pay for food, you need to pay for transportation. If you have a car, you need to pay for car insurance and the maintenance of the car itself. So there's certain things that you really have to do without. If you can do without a car, that's it, that you can do that. But on the other hand, having a car as well in the UK means more money because you're able to work from one place to the other. But as a student, you're only allowed to work 20 hours a week. So you need to take that into consideration when you are planning your things. Food-wise, you live on basics, right? If you have a family, guys, family planning is required if you're in the diaspora. You don't come in the diaspora and start having babies and babies and babies and babies and more. You need to plan How are you going to manage that? Because what will happen is that one of you has to be at home with the babies, okay? And the other one has to be working full time for that life to balance. It doesn't even balance. You will still be struggling because you still have a young family to look after. You still have to go to university. And normally, the young couple, there's a fight like, I want to go to university as well. I can't be looking after children. But to be honest with you, there's a time that you have to sit at home and raise children, and only one person probably has to study at a time. You cannot both of you be in university unless you have someone to help you with childcare. Because childcare on its own is something else. It's very expensive. All right? Work, and study. Guys, sometimes you go to the library, 2 o'clock, you're working on an assignment. Tomorrow you're supposed to be on placement, or you're supposed to be at work because you may have like 2-3 days that you have to work. Those days that are important to you, because if it's part-time work, you have to work so that you can raise money to pay your tuition fees. So places that I would advise you to, as a student, to work is especially NHS Bank. Join NHS Bank. NHS Bank has shifts all the time. I know some of you are not into care work, but we're talking of the right things that will help you, the jobs that are going to help you, jobs that are going to be available for you. Okay. When it comes also to jobs that are going to be available, it also applies to a student who is abroad right now, who is planning to come to United Kingdom or to go abroad somewhere else. You have to be strategic on a course, or the choice of course that you want to do. If you want to settle here, honestly, you need to do a course that has the prospects of you being employed, unless you're going back home, you've got a job. But some people, not everybody wants to settle in UK. I know some people will just come here to study what they want to study and go home because maybe they've got a business to manage and things like that. I'm talking to those who want to come and try and settle in a foreign land. You have to be strategic on the type of course that you're going to be doing. All right. Because you want a course whereby in the second year, managers are already saying, we want that girl or we want that man to work for us because he's good. That's what you need as a foreigner. Okay. You won't be that comfortable as in comfortable financially. Even your life will start once you have a proper job. But when you're a student, it's just that you're just surviving, you're just making ends meet because you've got something that you want to achieve. So that is what you're going to do, what you're talking about here. You want to achieve something, you want to get a course so that you can get a job, so that you can be marketable job wise. You can get a job anytime you want it as a foreigner. Okay. The other thing that I want to talk about is loans, credit cards. If you get a chance to get a loan or to get a credit card, that money should go pay your tuition fees. Don't try to go and build a home in Africa whilst you haven't paid your tuition fees. Don't try to build a mansion in Africa whilst you're living in a house that is dilapidated here. You make yourself comfortable here first, and then you think of somewhere else. Because this is the life that you're living. There's no guarantee that that house you're building back home, you're going to live in it. Okay, because some of you get a chance of, because you'll be working, banks will be noticing the money that is coming in your account, and there's a chance of you getting a loan. I'll take that loan and pay your tuition fees, so that at least that gives you a little bit of, you don't rush too much, you're not overstressed, you're not overwhelmed by the bills, the tuition and things like that. Yeah. The other thing, guys, when you come to UK, don't expect that things are going to be easy. They are not. Because I see sometimes when people come here, they think, I don't know what they think they're going to. They've got this mindset that they are going in a country with milk and honey. Of course, there's milk and honey, but you're not going to start having the milk and honey straight away. You have to dig deep to get it. It's not going to come just like that. I've experienced both worlds, like being a student and being a worker, and there are times, and working in the industries, being fired from a job. I was fired twice in the factories that I was working because I wasn't fast enough, so they didn't want me there. They ended up firing me, so I didn't get a job. What am I saying? I was fired. Those are things that made me think that I need to think clearly about what I want to do with my life. Do I want to continue working like this? And that drove me to go and look for a course. That's where I ended up studying. That's why I ended up going into nursing. I had to go from university to university to look for a place to study. And being an African, you think you have to go to university to look for a job. I didn't. That time, I never even thought of going online to apply. But then the program leaders were quite nice to me. They were like, oh, okay, you should have just applied. But that helped me because within the first year of me being in the UK, I started my nurse training. So basically, I would say most of my life in the UK, I was working. Things were not as bad, but I managed to achieve quite a lot. I managed to bring my siblings whilst I was a student nurse here. And we used to play this to do those what do you call it? Not playing to get into those rounds, that the rounds where you actually give each other money. So you have a group of friends and maybe 5 of you, and you give each other like £100, £200 a month. That is the money that I used to help my siblings come over here, because I realized that if I'm going to be here on my own, things are going to be difficult for me. And also that time I was in a relationship with someone who was quite selfish, and I didn't see that happening, like helping my siblings. So I decided, I think that's the best way to do here is to bring my siblings here. And that was a very good move. And when I talk of my achievements, what I've achieved when I was in the United Kingdom, I talk about that. I brought my siblings to the UK, and I'm proud of that. And one thing that I always say, I've achieved something, I've done well, because I changed their lives. Yes, I changed someone's life and maybe generations to come. So I'm quite proud of that. So that happened when I was a student, because I managed to do that because I had a little bit of a bursary and I was working. But those who are coming now, if there's no bursary, guys, it's going to be really, really, really difficult. You need to be very smart with your money. Don't just buy things, you only buy things that are necessary, that are required. Only those things that are important, that you need. Money is saved. Money is going to your studies. Once you study, celebration, when you do a party after, if you're a foreign student and you finish your studies and you get your certificate, that one is worth celebrating if you're in the diaspora. Guys, it's not easy. If someone is studying here and he finished his studies and he was paying international fees, I salute you. It's not easy. It is not easy. That's why I'm saying, if you're going to be choosing the right course, make sure you choose the course that will give you a job. Unless you want to go back, that's fine. But if you want to come and live in the UK, then you better choose a course that will give you a job. Wow. Now let's talk about being in the workplace. Guys, that's another struggle. Being in the workplace, sometimes they will just think that you don't know. This unconscious bias will follow you wherever you go. They'll just assume that you don't know. But it is your duty to show them that you know what you're doing. If there is a presentation to be done, make sure you volunteer to do it. Once you volunteer to do it, every time they'll be fighting for you. We want you to be in our group. We want you to be in our group. That's what happens. In university, at work, everywhere, there is this unconscious bias. They just assume you don't know. In the workplace, you realize that sometimes you can be like a team leader for the day, or you may be someone who is in charge for the day. People would rather go to someone junior to ask, but they'll be sent back to you again. That's what being a friend is all about. That's what it is all about. It's nice. You get used to it. That people will come and then they're told that she is the one who is in charge today. Okay? But then they will go to someone who is junior. The junior will send them back to you again. You see a lot of that. All right? Good luck, guys. I hope you're going to be okay. If you are still abroad and you're watching this video and you want to come to live in the UK, don't just do any course. Go for that course that is covered in the shortage occupation list. Those courses that they say they have shortage in: pharmacy, nursing, social work, engineering, IT. Those are the courses that you have to go for, because you know definitely that after you've completed them, there's a job for you. There's a possibility of getting a job. That's what you want here. All right. So guys, All the best, and I'm just too excited that you managed to get a place and you are in the process of getting a place. If you are that kind of person who really wants to come to UK, I share a lot about global scholarships on my channel here and also on my Facebook channel. You get something. There's always universities saying that they are going to pay part scholarship. Go for it and do it. If they give you like £10,000, that's a lot of money of just to be given for you to study. So guys, all the best, and thank you so much for watching. If you're new to this channel, guys, please subscribe to my channel. I bring a lot of information about my life in the UK, how you can relocate, the expat life, and much more, lifestyle, travel. I am a very outgoing woman, so most of these things, you'll see them here. You take care, guys.